At the very end of the Shibuya arc, Kenjaku touched the floor using Mahito's curse technique and unsealed all the cursed objects hidden within random Japanese citizens. This was Kenjaku's plan, to start a culling game, having our heroes battle out to gain 400 points. Well, in today's video, we'll be putting one man to the test. What's up guys, Gamblrr here. I'm gonna be frank, this is embarrassing. July was meant to be the month of Yuta, but I ended up not even getting this video done by the end of July, so we're dropping it in August. This won't happen again on Alon's Soul. Anyways, you read the title and saw the thumbnail. Can Yuta solo the Culling Games? Let's find out. Before we get into it, make sure to subscribe. We're dropping weekly GGK bangers over here. The Culling Games is pretty unique in the structure. Killing another sorcerer earns you 5 points and killing non-sorcerers earns you 1 point. When we see Yuta again, he's at 35 points, so he killed 6 sorcerers and then drew right in front of us. While squaring up with the cockroach, bro tells himself he's gonna earn 400 points all by his lonesome. Bold words, but he doesn't get anywhere close to it, ending up with 190 after his cleanup of the Sendai colony. However, there is a way for Yuta to achieve this goal, and we're gonna help him. We're gonna drop Yuta into each colony, put him up against everyone we saw our other players fight against, and really put Yuta to the test. Sound good? I thought so, but before we get into it, of course we have to scale the boy. I mean, come on, it's not like I have a 40-minute video scaling him. Anyways, the version of Yuta we'll be dropping into the Culling Games is of course end of series Yuta. Duh. We want to have fun here, so let's have fun. In my Shibuya video, I made sure to briefly go over Yuta's scaling and feats, and over here, I'll do the same, but now I'll reveal some of the secrets I kept hidden. End of series Yuta is obviously recognizable through his ridiculous number of attributes and abilities he gained throughout both his training arc and the Shinjuku Showdown. But before we get into those, we have to talk about the other area Yuta improved on, and that was his durability. When Sukuna faced off against Higuruma and Yuji for the first time, his curse 2 that would have caused ridiculous amounts of trouble for everyone was taken away instead of his curse technique. This was a good thing, but at the same time, Sukuna kept the one thing that made Sukuna Sukuna, and so as soon as he dropped out of his domain, he sent slashes straight at Higuruma to test out the waters. The slashes were slightly weakened by Kusakabe, who entered the battlefield out of nowhere, and Sukuna can't help but notice that everyone who's arrived had leveled up their fundamentals and curse energy strengthening. This of course didn't stop him from, donutting Choso, but Sukuna was intrigued nonetheless. In the chapter after that, Sukuna cleaves Yuji in his torso, getting through his improved durability and leaving him for dead, as he wasn't expecting anything more from him. But little did he know, that boy Yuji came back with reverse curse technique. The reason I'm emphasizing these reviews is the fact that Yuta got the same durability boost. According to Sukuna, they actually have kinda similar durability. But even with that, Sukuna's whose output is lowered but not to a great extent, could have cleaved both their faces clean off like they were Ryu if he wanted to. I mean, this is applicable to basically almost everyone in the verse, but as Sukuna's output lowered, their durability started to be more highlighted. When Sukuna sends slashes at both Yuta and Yuji, he knows that the reason he isn't killing them is not only because of his curse energy output, but also the fact that their durability has increased such a drastic amount through the time skip. He compares them directly to Ryu, but says Ryu was maybe a little bit more durable than them. This is important because it means a 15-finger Sukuna would be forced to cleave 2 sorcerers directly instead of spamming dismantles due to their durability and reverse curse technique. Speaking of RCT, that boy Yuta was spamming it during Shinjuku. That domain battle was ridiculous, and within it, Sukuna was sending everything at them. The final chapter of it was a bloodbath, but it really went to show how much endurance and stamina Yuta gained through the time skip. Moving on from his durability, his speed is something I still don't have a complete gauge on. Sukuna makes it clear that Yuji specifically didn't get any faster after the time skip through him racing him to see if there were any changes, but there really wasn't. Yuji just before the time skip awakened with rage against Sukuna and was able to keep up with Maki, who said she speed up for the fight. Clearly all the heavy hitters are relative in speed. If you want to argue about who's faster than the other, you can, but at the very least they're all within the same realm. Speed overall is an odd concept in JJK because the feats we see are pretty weird to scale, and you'd have to get into chain scaling shenanigans to set the hierarchy straight. Luckily, we don't have to do all that just yet. We just need to drop Yuta in the fight and compare their speeds to see who dominates. Abilities, abilities, abilities. If you watch any Fong JJK inverse edit, Yuta gets his stat every single time, and it's not for no reason. Yuta has a grand total of 6 confirmed copy abilities, and he also has 2 unconfirmed but kind of likely copied abilities, being anti-gravity and limitless. He has reverse curse technique and output, curse energy key waves for some reason, and a Shikigami who can keep up your Yuta in stats. Oh yeah, did I forget to mention that? Yeah, if you're fighting Yuta, you're always fighting a 1v2. Unless you can completely one-shot her, she'll continue healing like forever. That boy Sukuna put her in a blender during their fight, but she came out unscathed unlike Yuta. Yeah, overall Yuta's pretty strong, but now I'm getting bored restating Yuta's scaling in yet another way, so let's just get into the main video. I already said it before, but this guy is going to fight everyone, and by the end we'll find out if Yuta really was a liar. I mean, he was, but yeah, whatever. Yuta enters the Culling Games and drops into Tokyo Colony 1, where he's met with an instant aerial attack by fodder number 1. Yuji got hit with the attack and tanked it with 0 difficulty, so there's no reason to assume the same wouldn't apply to Yuta. I actually think the way Yuji went about dealing with the attack isn't the same way Yuta would. I imagine Yuta being pushed by fodder number 1, grabbing onto her so she doesn't escape his reach, then having Rika grab her and throw her into the ground to take her out of the fight overall. You know Yuta wouldn't want to let a literal player killer keep doing what they're doing, so she's out of it completely. As for a helicopter head, Yuta uses Rika to jump high enough in the sky to blitz and grab onto him as well. This time he would use his weight and momentum to drop them both into the ground. Because they're so fodder, Yuta isn't going to just kill them outright. His goal really is to make sure they can't continue killing random people, so I imagine he would cut off fodder number 1's jetpack and helicopter head. Yeah, whatever. And then Amai arrives to lead Yuta to Higuruma. Oh yeah, by the way, we're assuming Yuta doesn't know any of these people before going in. Yes, we're using end of series Yuta, but we're erasing his memories of certain characters, so do not question it. As soon as Yuta steps foot in Higuruma's presence, Yuta isn't with the fluff. He knows that since Higuruma has 100 points, he's not going to just hand over the points, so he squares up. As Higuruma returns the favor though, he can't help but notice that he too has a Shikigami. Instantly, Higuruma expands his domain and Yuta isn't expecting it because there was no hand sign made. In retaliation, obviously Yuta expands his own domain, but he notices that nothing's actually happening within Higuruma's. I've been saying this recently on the channel, unless you're fodder or Gojo and Sukuna, we don't have much proof or evidence to suggest someone can win against another in a domain clash. Sure, Hakari is literally the only character in the entire series to have a statement about domain clashing, but that's just his. It's a really weird topic because people think the statement would apply to Higuruma's, but I personally don't think so. Hakari's sure hit is literally an info dump, while Higuruma's is the enforcement of no violence within his domain. It's a messy topic, but I'm not granting Higuruma the Hakari statement, so Yuta and him would clash domains. Yuta on the other hand actually has refinement abilities and domain feats that should help him beat the domain in the clash. Not only does Sukuna praise him for his ability to single out people with his sure hit, he also showed the ability to move his domain expansion, deliberately open holes within it, and eventually showcasing the ability to use basketball domain. I'm giving Yuta the win in that clash 9 times out of 10, and so is Higuruma with his gavel versus Yuta in his domain with Rika. Alright, scratch that entire idea. We're going to say that Yuta recognizes the domain isn't actually lethal and goes along with its rules. Yuta is charged for killing 7 sorcerers during the Culling Games, and Yuta can't really argue against it, and so he's hit with confiscation. They exit the domain, and to Yuta's surprise, his sword is gone. This is because Higuruma's domain of course prioritizes cursed tools, and I'd assume Yuta's domain is a cursed tool rather than some random item. I say this because the first time he gets it is from Jujutsu Tech's inventory, but it breaks like 2 times in front of our faces, so the only other place for him to get swords is from Rika's own inventory. For Rika to store them, she'd obviously be needing to use Jujutsu, and Assuming the katana started off as a regular katana, excessive dumping of cursed energy on it turned it into a cursed tool. The reason I know this, Gege made a note about Miwa's sword being basically a cursed tool since she uses cursed energy on it so much. With that being said, just to spice it up, we can say Yuta gets the death penalty as well since, well, killing 7 people is kind of outrageous, and it will be fun to think about how Yuta goes about this. Well, actually, maybe not, because Yuta would automatically use his domain expansion since he has no sword, and he can literally see a magical sword that Higuruma gained after his Shikigami screened death penalty. Yuta isn't stupid, so he uses his domain and Higuruma dies to shrine. Higuruma has 0 anti-domain abilities, 0 durability feats, basically 0 everything before the Shinjuku showdown, and so he'd just be another scrub that Yuta beats without a second thought. Yuta cleaned up Yuji's part of the Culling Games, so now he enters round 2. Yuta is teleported to the starting spot again, regains back to 100% stats, has his memory erased, and then walks back into the Culling Games. That'll make sense in a little bit. This time, he's met by a girl named Remy who attempts to attack him, but seeing as it's a girl and she's trying to hurt Yuta, Rika comes out and almost obliterates her without Yuta needing to do anything. Beat up and winded, Remy offers to lead Yuta to Higuruma because we erased this guy's memory and he's still searching for either Higuruma or Kashimo. Do not ask me how he did it, just know he doesn't remember. Remy then leads Yuta to Reggie and there it's revealed he was played. To be honest, I'm trying to imagine Yuta reacting to this happening to him, and I honestly don't think he would square up automatically. He'd only do it if he was actually in trouble. Like Megumi, I can see him trying to ask for their points, and then suddenly he's about to be ambushed by fodder number 2. Megumi was able to easily outmaneuver him. Honestly, imagine Yuta dodging his attack and one-shotting him with a kick, and then warning Reggie that he's not losing to any of them. So it's either they give him the points, or they continue fighting for no real reason. This is when Hazunoki's eye would drop down and explode in the vicinity, and from then, Yuta would know that they're really beyond help. Yuta would obviously take 0 damage from the explosion, and as everyone has moved away from the attack so to not get into the blast range, Yuta has already used Rika to jump on top of the building. There he sees the culprit and notices that he can use RCT, so Yuta knows he has to deal with him ASAP. He blitzes and one-shots the bum. I don't think it's crazy to assume he'd kill him. It's definitely within the realm of possibility because he killed 7 people during his run in the Culling Games, and it's even implied he would have killed Uro and Ryu if it weren't for their points. Hazunoki is a literal hazard for innocent players, and so he'd do him like Dhruv and turn around to see Reggie, who's arrived to the roof as well. Reggie of course makes the first move, sending a couple knives at Yuta, who using one of his receipts, but Yuta easily reacts, deflects the attacks, and realizes how fodder he really is. You remember how Maki did her dad? Yeah, just imagine Yuta does that to Reggie, and well, that's basically it. Megumi's colony honestly wasn't that crazy. He was just fodder, so it seemed insane to go against. But we're talking about Yuta here. It's like easy work for him. Yuta finishes round 2 pretty quickly and enters round 3, Tokyo Colony 2. This is where Hakari and Panda were teleported, so we'll start from Hakari's path, and this time Yuta is in pursuit of Kashimo. Yuta finds himself in a Ferris wheel with Charles for some reason, but I generally don't think Yuta would fry Charles to the point where he wants to fight the way Hakari did. Regardless, Charles gets super pissed off and starts a fight with Yuta, and it doesn't take long for Yuta to just kick the crap out of him without hesitation. I'm spamming the kicks right now because that kick he hit Yuji with still gets me laughing to this day, and that kick in specific would one-shot a lot of sorcerers we know. With that being said, it's kind of ironic because that's exactly how Charles lost to Hakari. That boy kicked him in the face and he was done. At the same time as this, Panda has engaged in battle with Kashimo and lost terribly, but out of nowhere, just like Hakari, Yuta jumps down and crushes the container he lands on. Seeing Panda cooked would have Yuta on go mode. Heck, he'd be as mad as he was when he fought Geto, so there's 0 holding back or remorse. That boy is going in for the kill. He charges in with Rika half manifested and starts off by trying to disarm Kashimo. Hakari easily did that by just punching him, so I expect Yuta to be able to do it with the help of Rika. Rika is pretty strong. I don't know if she'd be able to completely incapacitate Kashimo like she did Yuji, but in her huge form, she would be able to make Kashimo hold his staff in a way that Yuta can take it away from him. From then, it's straight hands. Or sword swings in hands. Kashimo's curse energy trait would be ignored by both Rika and Yuta because of their insane curse energy pool. Yuta should be at the very least relative to Kashimo with a Shikigami on par with him in stats, so Kashimo's getting jumped and is well beyond his pay grade. He has 0 durability feats and 0 endurance feats, especially in base. In his curse technique form, he died to a random dismantle net that Sukuna set at him, and for reference, Yuji went on to survive a cleave barrage and Higuruma was able to survive some dismantles as well, but those were weakened by Kusakabe. Yuta's attacks are heavy. If Yuta wants to get absolutely crazy, he can start cutting limbs off. Rika had that boy Sukuna in a complete hole at mercy to Yuta's sure hit. The same can definitely be said for Kashimo, and Yuta can torture that boy to death. Luckily for me, we know Kashimo is not going to use his curse technique, so that saves me the time and stress of people in my comments crying about that. Kashimo definitely loses here. He stepped out of line beating on Panda. Round 3 concludes right there, and so Yuta comes back to the starting point once again to refresh and have his memory wiped. Round 4 awaits, and Yuta is dropped into the Sakurajima colony. This is a weird one. Let's just assume that boy Yuta is there to try to get enough points to where he can add a rule to exit colonies. As he meets up with Kamo, Naoya, reincarnated into a cursed spirit, enters the Culling Games, and both sorcerers notice him. He immediately speeds towards Yuta as he's the one who embarrassed him and made him do as he said. And to be honest, I can see this initial fight going the exact same as the original. Naoya reveals his identity to Yuta, and now he knows that he's fighting against a projection sorcery user. Rika comes out and grabs Naoya from behind while he's holding Yuta onto the mountain, and from there, Kamo sends arrows that impale him. Yuta isn't playing around either because he just saw how fast he is. He needs to finish him off as soon as possible, so he slices straight through him. From here, there's a couple things Yuta can do. During the Shinjuku showdown, it's emphasized that Rika has a power that allowed her to deal with the cursed spirits in a way no one else could. I think we saw the power in play in chapter 249. It was super weird seeing it the first time. She just touched them and they started disappearing. Now though, I think the power is actually RCT. We see Rika using it during Yuta's time in Gojo's body, and the exploding effect is actually something we see happen when Yuta uses RCT on the cockroach curse. With multiple open wounds and even Naoya being cut in half, all Rika really has to do is output enough reverse cursing need to his body, and the guy would literally explode. Not to mention Yuta himself has RCT as well. It just have to be an opening Yuta can take advantage of. During Maki's fight, when she slices Naoya, she grabs hold of him so he takes Kamo's arrows, then throws him in the air before it. In Yuta's case, I had Rika hold Naoya in place for Kamo to shoot him, and also Yuta slicing him, so Naoya is literally already in the hands of Rika. All that needs to happen from there is a ton of reverse curse technique output, but that's a little boring. So let's say Yuta cuts him in half, Naoya runs away and evolves even further. I mean, first off, both Kamo and at least Rika would be shooting at the wound in the sky, and that might even be enough to exercise him, but after the evolution, he'd be even faster. Now, as I'm rereading the original fight, I've had many interpretations of how the speed scaling ended up after it. On one hand, I thought that Maki might have just gotten faster than Naoya after fully awakening because of Naoya saying that he isn't the one with overwhelming speed anymore, but on the other hand, I'm thinking Maki just gained the skills to be able to handle Naoya's overwhelming speed over her, like precognition. I think it's actually the latter. If I'm 100% honest with myself, I think Naoya was supposed to still be the top speedster, but Maki gained abilities to get around being blitzed by him. Funnily enough, we saw this like 15 chapters before this, with Hakari being a perception blitz tier above Charles, but Charles bridging the gap with 2 seconds of future sight. When Gege has characters move at Mach speeds, he makes it apparent with sonic booms, vapor cones, shattering glass for pure movement, actual statements, and direct comparisons. That boy Sukuna outsped his own slashes as well as a piercing blast, so that's what I mean by the last thing. Anyways, with the latter interpretation, Yuta isn't just dodging and weaving Naoya with ease as Maki was doing, but he doesn't have to do that if he doesn't let Naoya just charge up his speed. We know this because Kamo was going the distance with him and even could notice how terrible his durability was. He says outright that his durability is worse than Hanami's, and Hanami was getting damaged by Goodwill Yuji, so that's easy ease for Yuta if he can get his hands on it. For fun, let's say Yuta isn't anticipating the Mach 3 dash and gets blitzed just like Maki. Obviously he's not being taken out of the fight like her, he can easily heal any damage he took, but as soon as that happens, you know Yuta isn't taking any chances, so he pops his domain expansion. From there, yeah, Naoya just dies to Shrine. It gets kind of boring when we have Yuta pop his domain because basically everyone he goes against has 0 anti-domain techniques, but to continue yapping, let's say Naoya just pops his domain expansion out of nowhere. I'll let them clash so that we can discuss how the in-domain fight goes. In his domain, Yuta finally has access to Sky Manipulation, probably the best cursing technique to use against Naoya, but also arguably Yuta's favorite. We actually see Yuta just casually have access to the technique without having any sword in his hand, so yeah, that exists. We saw Yuta use Sky Manipulation and also have another sword. Let's say one with Curse Speech to stop Naoya in place, or one with Precognition to have the speed be less of a problem for him. Naoya on the other hand has Ram number 1, Ram number 2, and Ram number 3. Only Ram number 3 is a problem because that's the one that's Mach 3, but Yuta never allows that to happen. Literally all Yuta needs to do is use Rika to hold bro in place, use Sky Manipulation to sway attacks or rams, use his other curse techniques, and Naoya is pretty much cooked. This is obviously all assuming Yuta doesn't just fry him in a domain clash and kill him with Shrine. Overall, it should be an easy and clean kill as soon as the domains are involved, so Yuta finishes 4th and final round. I was thinking of doing the Sukuna round, but I've already made my thoughts on that matchup pretty clear. If you want something more in depth, either watch the Yuta scaling video or the Shibuya video, but this marks the end of the video. Yuta got through his rounds pretty cleanly. Round 1 was a cool thing to think about. Yuta has the tools to make a show out of his fight with the aerial sorcerers, and his fight with Higuruma could have gone many ways, but all of them end in his favor. Round 2 was by far the easiest, as Yuta had to go against 3 fodder, one that he one-shots with a kick, another he sliced like Druve, and a third he one-shot like Ogi. Round 3 was surprisingly pretty easy. Charles isn't a problem when you take him seriously right off the bat, and Kashimo without his curse technique plus having beat the crap out of Panda is getting the beast from Yuta. Round 4 was definitely the hardest though. Yuta doesn't have precognition in base like Maki does, but he ended up getting the job done through other means. Overall, a pretty solid performance from Yuta. A more insane performance is going to be me finishing this video because I'm scripting this at 11 PM Sunday and I gotta drop it tomorrow, so I may or may not be cooked. Anyways, what did y'all think of this video? Did I forget something? Let me know down in the comments. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll catch y'all in the next one.